My name is Mary, and I'm going to tell you a bit about the legal situation in Norway, because that's what I thought we were doing. So this is pretty dry. There are several laws that are quite open for homeschooling. One of them is the education law, which says that you can send your kids to a private school or a public school or educate them otherwise. Then there's also a child's law that has a paragraph there where you have to basically make sure that everything is fine with your kids and they're getting what they need and so forth. And so that paragraph can also be used to support homeschooling. There are several United Nations conventions which are signed by Norway and hold over Norwegian law. The main one really is, I think, economy, society, and culture. And then the Norwegian Constitution, even from exactly 200 years ago, has a sentence that is favorable to education. The legal requirements for homeschoolers, we notify the commune where we live. It is not an application, it's a notification. Education is required either from the age of 6 to 15 or for 10 years. I'm actually not sure there. Education is the parents' responsibility, so parents can take advantage of what's offered in school or not. In the vast majority of cases, kids either go to school 100% or not. So you've notified that you're going to homeschool. You can very often borrow the school books if you would like, assuming the school has enough for you to borrow them. I've just written down miscellaneous pieces of information here. For people who travel, you do not need to have your child registered in a school or as a homeschooler until the child has been in Norway for 3 months. There is no formal minimal education requirement for the parents, for the homeschooling parents, and by homeschooling I include unschooling and road schooling and everything. After school is divided into 7 years, and then 3 years, and then 3 years. So after the first 10 years, you do not get grades, but you will get a 1 or 2 sentence letter from the local youth school saying your child has completed the 10 obligatory years of education. For the last 3, upper secondary, I suppose, or high school we'd call it, you can do it full-time, part-time, or only exams. Kai has just finished doing only exams, and Luis has just started. And you can, it's about 20 exams, so it's quite a bit. Yeah, some people do it in 1 year, some people take 4 or 5 years, yeah. We do have evaluation, and that's normally once a semester, about an hour. Not in the home, usually in the office of somebody from the commune, maybe at the school, maybe in a library. We show what we've been working on. There are many different ways of doing this, but it's progress that counts. In Norway, you're not allowed to compare children to each other. You compare them to the knowledge goals is the literal translation. But so long as you're making progress towards those goals, it's good. You're absolutely not required to reach all the goals, and many people do much more in other subjects. Testing, the only special testing is allowed. There is a fair amount of misunderstanding around this now because a new supposedly helpful document came out in May last year that is very easy to misinterpret. But the story with testing is that if the evaluation has indicated that there may be a weakness or a problem, then the evaluating authority, which may be a teacher, it may be the principal at the school, it may be the person responsible for schooling in the commune can make a special testing exactly that skill that they are not too sure about. I have never heard of this happening even once. The law also requires parents to adjust and adapt the education to the individual child. This means that we have freedom of method. If your child needs to run around in circles the first 2 hours of the morning, and after that go jump on a trampoline for the next 2 hours, and so on, and you're only able to get down to, I don't know, slicing up a pizza and looking at the different fractions at 8 o'clock at night, then if that's what the kid needs, that's what you are actually legally obliged to do.
Might be interpreted differently by inspectors.
Yes, it might. That was an example. I think examples need to be amusing, otherwise they're. The commune, sometimes they will be very supportive and offer you the possibility to bring the child to school so you can go on field trips to museums, to schools. Other times there's very little contact. Basically, everything should be in the child's best interests. Choice of evaluator, the whole evaluation setup should be cooperation, collaboration, so that it has to satisfy the commune's need to know that the child is okay in making progress, but it also needs to create a comfortable environment for the child to be evaluated in. That's actually all I have written down here. If there's something legal that I haven't covered, you can throw it at me right now, otherwise we can...
Could you tell a bit about the social interactions between home educators in Norway? How is this
Yeah, we have monthly meetings in Oslo. There is a big summer gathering. We had actually a formal conference at the University of Oslo in January 2014. There are lots of informal get-togethers of maybe 2 or 3, 4 or 5 families. In my province, we have been the only ones for the last 4 years, and in the last year we're suddenly 4 or 5 families, and one from Oslo that wants to move up, and so we've been, and a lot of people live with a lot of space, so you can just set up a tent in someone's yard and stay there for a while. So there's more and more, and homeschoolers are not registered with the communes, and so nobody knows how many there are. But this is my 5th year as secretary of the association, and there is plenty of interest. In particular, we're contacted by the press very often in August because they want to come to a homeschooling home and sit on the wall like a fly and watch the first day of homeschooling of the new school year. And yeah, the idea that this has been going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the past few years, takes a while to get through. I'll just say one more thing, I guess, before we turn off the camera. There is big time confusion, and this probably applies to most European countries. I like your hair. Thank you. Confusion between school, teaching, education, and learning. There are many, many people cannot imagine that school and teaching are not the only way to grow up. So I guess you could say ideologically, actually, that sort of school and teaching on the one hand and education and learning on the other hand are really quite separate in the minds of most people on the planet at the moment.